Welcome to Pain with a Purpose, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, redemption, and purpose. I'm your host, Chris Woods, and each week we will sit down with guests who have faced challenges with substance abuse, mental health, and recovery. But we're not just dwelling on the past. Instead, we'll explore what keeps them driven towards a purposeful life. Join us as we navigate the journey from pain to a purpose. So with that, welcome back to, forgot what my fucking podcast name
Welcome
is.
back to
Welcome back to Pain with a Purpose, Season 2, Episode 7, with Frank Lee.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making the trip out, dude. I'm sure you said Turnpike or 95?
Turnpike.
I'm sure it wasn't easy either way.
No.
It's never a straight shot during
I owe
rush
you
hour.
one since you made the ride to us.
Yeah, at least you were on time though. I mean, I was like super late. But before we get into like all the nitty gritty, right? So at Quiet Frankly, right?
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can't read either. So
Yeah.
at Quite Frankly,
Yeah.
Enhanced Property Appearance,
Yes.
Streets to Success podcast.
Yes.
The list goes on and on. We don't know it yet. Are we willing to like give anybody tidbits of what else you got going on or what?
That's it for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got.
You don't want to give too much away.
There's not too much right now. I mean, some real estate stuff, which is not like a full blown thing. It's like here and there. I'm dabbling with it, but I got enough going on with the podcast and enhanced property appearance right now, and like the personal brand too. Like try to build a personal brand, and so that's like 3 things right there.
I think that's a huge part of it, right? Like the whole, and like you guys do a lot more than I do, right? And like I just don't think I'm there yet, but like you guys are really forward, like facing like with the camera and going live and doing like motivational stuff, and which is huge. Because I think without that, it's like really hard to build a brand.
Gotta get in the camera, dude. It sucks because like it's uncomfortable, and you got that imposter syndrome. Like, am I trying too hard, or am I showing people? Do I care that much what people think that I got to put myself out there? And you got to be vulnerable. Take a lot of criticism, but it's as long as your purpose and your intentions are good, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll touch on that in a little bit because like I always think to myself, I'm like, where the fuck did these guys come up with this shit? You know what I mean? So we'll talk about that in a second. But you're a lot of things, right? But a number of years ago, you were kind of just like one thing, right? You were just like a number.
Yeah.
For lack of better terms, like you were locked up, and we'll get into like the how and the what happened and all that stuff. But you are a clear-cut example of like you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you just like stay on the straight and narrow, essentially.
Right.
So where'd you grow up? Are you from?
So I'm from. I was born in Kensington, raised there until about like my early teen years.
Okay.
Then we moved to Port Richmond for a little bit. It's in Philadelphia as well. For people that aren't familiar with the city, and then I moved to Fishtown for probably the last 10 years, 15 years of my life. Yeah.
Okay. Before like now,
before I got locked up.
Okay. And where are you at now?
Right now I'm in Bridesburg.
Oh, so you made it.
Yeah, I'm on my way out of there too, though. But
yeah. All right. So you grew up. I mean, you're a few years older than me. I was trying to put like the math together, and I'm like, well, we probably like cross path at some point. Maybe not. If you ever had them, I probably sent somebody or got them from you at some point. I'm not proud of that, but walk me through like. So I know your boy went to North, right? Did you go to Catholic school too, or
no? I went to Jones Middle School, Kensington High School.
Okay, so you were in the so you were in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was went to Sheridan Elementary.
Oh shit.
All public school.
Okay. It's funny though, right? So like I talked to a lot of my buddies that that got sober or like messed up their lives, and it's like our parents put us through Catholic school, right? Like I didn't grow up well off at all.
Yeah.
And my mom like worked like multiple jobs and like put me through whatever she had to put me through like the best possible situation that she thought I should be in. And I still ended up in like
it didn't matter
a rehab, you know what I mean? Or I still ended up like ruining my life, right? And there's people that went through public school that like never made that turn where they shouldn't have, So it's like I don't know if there's a correlation to all of it.
I don't think there is because like I got a good friend of mine, Mike. He didn't go to Catholic school. He went to same public school. He went to Penn Treaty actually in Kensington. The dude never touched a drug. stayed in sports, got a good union job now, never was locked up, like never got into any, maybe bar fights, something like that, but he was never like on drugs, committed crime, just straight and narrow. And I think like it's not really like, your upbringing, it can affect it a little bit, but I don't really think that there's like a real connection to it.
I just know that my mom, she like, I wouldn't say blamed like one person in my life for like me going a certain way, right? But it was like, I would have found it either way. Like, I'm convinced that like I would have, everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Or like the stuff that I was doing or whatever I found that like really kind of like made me tick, right? Like I would have found it one way or another.
Yeah.
All right. So you went to Kensington High School. Right. So then what happened? It's no secret, right? You have a podcast, Streets of Success, right? And we're trying to like lead up to that. But like what happened? How long out of high school was it until you were,
So I dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old. I got hit by a car when I was 10 years old. I ended up knowing I was getting a lawsuit when I turned 18.
Oh, shit.
So when I was 16, I was like, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to start my own business once I get this money. So I dropped out when I was 16. And, I'm not going to school. I'm hustling. I'm sleeping in, waking up and hustling.
Yeah.
Selling weed. I didn't really get into anything like crazy at that point as like a teenager, but selling weed and, not no real purpose or not, just waiting for this money to come.
Yeah.
And then as I'm like, getting older, getting closer to becoming 18, I started hustling more and other things, pills and stuff. So that money came, I became a business owner, all right. Just not the type of business owner that I should have became. So that, gave me an ego. It gave me some money. It gave me, felt like, I'm the man. And just continued to just like empower this person that at the time I thought I wanted to be because it was what I seen and it was what I looked up to, but it wasn't really who I was supposed to be. As far as like getting into trouble, bar fights, got locked up for drugs, beat the case, nothing DUI, nothing like really like that really sat me down until eventually I got sat down for 5.5 years. Mind you, during the midst of this, I ended up getting shot too.
Shit, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got shot, during the midst of me being in the street culture, whatever. Had to get like 7 different surgeries, learn how to walk again. I got shot in my hip. And that didn't even like, you think that'll open your eyes or did make you stop. And it just like really actually gave me.
You think it fueled it back then?
Yeah, because it was like a badge of honor, right? I survived being shot, got a little bit of an ego. And, what it also did was it gave me an addiction because now I'm getting prescribed Percocets.
And like in a sick way, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, you were almost probably getting praise from like the dudes you were hanging around with, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like, like that ball going 2 or 3 inches, one or which way, right? You could have been paralyzed, could have been dead. You know what I mean? Now they're like, can't take Frank out. You know what I mean? It's just kind of.
Yeah, and I think it
was
at least
like that's how my distorted thinking works.
No, that's how it is, man. That's how like, people praise you, they look up to you. It's like a part of the culture of the streets. Like, it comes with it, obviously. And then if you beat it, it's like, damn, can't be stopped. But I think like more than what other people thought, it was like my own thoughts too. Like, kind of like get an ego about it or like, bullet can't stop me. Like, it's cheesy, right? It's cheesy now as an adult and being as grown as I am now from that person today. But yeah, it didn't help. It didn't settle me down. It empowered me actually. Now I'm getting prescribed pills. Now I'm getting connections from being at the doctors and stuff. So yeah, it wasn't.
Well, especially what year was this?
2010. They just came out.
So you were right in the thick of it. Yeah.
30 just came out.
So even though that you actually really needed them, you could probably, they weren't
I didn't need what they were giving me.
They weren't asking
many
questions.
They were giving me $300 a month.
Yeah, it's insane, dude.
Like if I would have took them the way I was supposed to, even like from the jump, I would probably OD'd.
Yeah.
Luckily I never did, but
yeah. All right, so you got shot, and then at what point you got sat down for 5? You said 5.5.
Yeah. So after I got shot, I ended up had an assault case, a small assault charge. I got probation for it. And then like 2 years while on probation, I ended up getting sit down for 5 years for another charge.
It's just so nuts, right? Like you got shot, you got on probation, which was like a small assault charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything was like saying like, yo, Frank, time to like really put it to rest here.
Yeah, the crazy thing is though, Chris, before I got locked up, a year before I quit perks cold turkey. Like I stopped doing them. I was like, I don't need them. It was a mental thing that I was telling myself that I needed them. I realized that. I stopped that. I wasn't hustling no more. A little bit of weed, but I was working a regular job. And it was like, I really was like, and my friends, my close friends know, like, I did calm down a little bit. And then an incident occurred to where
it all ends in 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk me through that a little bit. Not like the actual like events of like what happened and stuff like that, but like from when it happened, right? From sentencing.
Yeah.
To like, what does that really look like? Right? Like what, and like not externally, right? Because if you have family, I'm sure they were there and they were like, supportive if you have family. Yeah. But like internally, I'm probably in my head like, this is it.
So when I was locked up, I'm getting read my charges. I got aggravated assault. My bail was $25,000. Now I'm thinking, all right, 10%, $2,500, I can make the bail. Then I get a second charge, which was 2 victims. Attempted murder, $250,000 bail. I'm like, I ain't going nowhere.
I'm not making that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere. So I had to come to the realization that I'm going to be here for a little while fighting this case. Mind you, the county is the worst place to be. After you experience different jails.
Would they have you CFCF?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sat at CFCF, not knowing what's going on in my future. Like I see people get 20 years for the same case I had. I seen people get 5 years. I see people get 11 and a half to 23 months county bids. So not knowing what's going on, that was the hardest part, sitting there. And, not knowing when I'm coming home. If I, see people get 20 years for aggravated assaults.
Yeah.
So I just had to like, wait. It was like a waiting game. And it was like scary because like, if I kind of feel like if I did come home and I did beat my case, it might have been that same arrogant ego thing again.
Who knows where you'd be?
Yeah, so it was like, I lost case. I took it to trial. The judge heard out the case. She seen that, the whole situation, how it unraveled, and she's like, I'm dropping the attempted murder, finding you guilty of aggravated assault. I ended up getting 5.5 to 11 years.
And then where'd you go? Like when they sent you up, where'd you go?
I went to SCI Forest, which is out by Erie, PA. It's like the second furthest jail.
Yeah, out there. So I don't even know. So I visited because my buddy was in there. SCI, what is it? SCI Chester.
Yeah, that's
like the one that's real close.
Yeah, you can walk there, basically from how far.
But
I
if
was.
I understand correctly, right, and no disrespect to anybody that's done time there, but like, isn't that like one of the SCI, like one of the softer jails out of the?
What?
Like more for like therapeutic community.
So SCI is just state correctional institution for whatever that jail is. So it's the SCI Green, SCI Cole Township. So it's a state correctional institution and then a name. Forest is a level 5 jail. So it was one of the maximum security. And I didn't get sent there because like I'm a violent or I'm a threat. It's just like maybe a little bit of that, but they have to distribute everyone. So like you don't want a jail that's overpopulated with murderers because then like they might get together and.
But so also with the charges too, you probably fell into like that middle of the pack, right?
Yeah.
Where they were like, we got to put him somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So they sent me upstate 5.5 years. And I just knew that I couldn't come home and do the same stuff. So in there's where I started like.
Really when did you realize that? Because you had a lot of time.
Yeah. So the two years in the county, all I had was to think. Like the whole time, it's like you're thinking, like you don't get distracted with devices.
So you didn't even get sentenced?
I did 2 years in the county fighting my case.
You did 23 months?
No, 25 months. Because you can fight it.
Okay, yeah.
As long as you're fighting it, you could be in there for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
You can't get sentenced to a county for over 23 months.
That's just a constant headache, isn't it? It's like crazy over there, right?
Yeah, it's lockdown, stabbings. No one's like, it was bad. But so the whole time I'm like, it's just like my pain tolerance was like mental pain, like, someone telling you when you could get a shower, someone telling you when you get on the phone. It's like being away from your family, people not answering you that you thought would like surely have your back if anything ever happened, not answering your phone calls. So it's like mental thing, and you got to really come up with like that ownership thing. Like, I put myself in here.
Mm-hmm.
So once you realize that and like, okay, I put myself in here, I'm not ever going to do anything again to put myself back in here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it kind of really started at like the end of the county thing. And I knew like going upstate that I would never have that much time again to really sit, think, plan, and work on myself. So that's when
set yourself up for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to believe in yourself when you're in that position, in that predicament.
Yeah. Well, how old were you when
right now when this happened?
When it happened, yeah.
So I was like 25 when it happened. I went upstate when I was 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got out at what, 30?
31.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's still essentially like a kid, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 25. I really feel like, and I see 25-year-olds today. I hung around 25-year-olds when I was home. You're not a man yet. You're still a kid.
As much as like I would have told you that I was, like I had no clue what life was really about.
And even right now, maybe I might be saying that now, and then when I'm 45, I'll be like, when you were 35, you were still a child too, Frank. You know, maybe just a little bit more grown, but.
So you put the pen and the paper in there, right?
Yeah.
What did you come up with? Like, I know like what you have now, right? Is it exactly what you drew it out to be, or was it like diverting from the plan?
What, Chris, I am living a life that I never thought I was able to live.
Yeah.
When I was in there, I put in so much work on myself as far as acquiring knowledge. So I got like 15 certifications, certificates, stuff like that. OSHA, NCCER, masonry certs, GED. I got like money mastery classes, like anything that I could do, I took advantage of. So I'm like pouring into myself when I'm in there. And my plan wasn't to like come home and be like a millionaire or be like a crazy entrepreneur. It was just to come home and like in my family and, where I'm from, holding a job for several years and owning a property, you're successful.
Yeah.
Like, so everything I have now is beyond my wildest dreams. And once I came home and I seen like how quickly I was able to accomplish my goals, all it's doing is giving me more momentum and more confidence. But in there, it was just within the first 5 years, I was like, I want to start a business and I want to buy a house.
Okay.
And that was pretty much it. Like, I had goals written down and stuff like that. Get a business bank account, get a regular bank account, get my credit to a certain point. Like and then once I'm home, like a year or 2 years, and it's just like, this is kind of easy when you apply yourself and you don't got the other distractions.
Yeah.
That was another thing. One of my goals was like, don't use, don't drink, don't, affiliate with people that are in that type of lifestyle. And like, that was probably the hugest thing for me to achieve the other goals.
Yeah. I mean, how many people, so when you got out, right? Like there was probably obviously some really supportive people, right? That had your back and wanted to see you do well. And like, this is a clean slate, the whole nine, Frank's going to kill it. Was there also the other side that like was with you right before you went away where they were like, yo, Frank, welcome back? Or like, were they fully aware that like you weren't really fucking with them no more?
The thing is, I keep it cool with everyone still. Like if I don't come around you like that, it's just like, we don't got that much in common. Like I still want you to succeed. I want you to, we're still cool. It's just like, I gotta be on people that are on the same path as me. But when I came home, I wasn't like as focused, and like people don't believe the jail talk. They don't, it's like, it's jail talk. Everyone says that I'm going to come home and start a business. I'm going to do this. So it's like common for people to say that. And it's like, all right, show me. So I had like people that tried to, encourage me to do things that I would have done before. And I'm like, the temptation was there, and their intentions are just like good still. Like, oh, I'm trying to put Frank on. I'm trying to help him out. I'm trying to get him to come out and hang with us and party with us. So their intentions weren't like malicious or anything like that. It was just that they didn't believe that I changed yet. So I had to. Or
they just knew what they knew, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either, right? Because if it wasn't for like me going to rehab and me going to a recovery house and me like getting around supportive guys, like I really don't think, I actually believe in my heart that I would have never left my mom's house for one, right? I never would have left like where I grew up in Roxborough. I probably would be that same dude that's like either walking Bridge Ave or whatever the case may be. Like my life was pretty guaranteed if I was able to stay alive and not overdose. You know what I mean? And it's like through like other positive actions, people, opportunities just come.
So are you saying like your life was like already carved out? Like basically you're going to be in just surviving, like just living, not striving?
I believe that, yeah. Even though I had like, I wanted to be somebody, I wanted to do all this stuff, but like I never, up until that point, I didn't do the goddamn thing. Right.
Yeah.
So it was like, I could have all, and I'm sure a lot of people do, we have all the great ideas in the world, but like if I'm not taking the actions behind closed doors, because essentially somebody's like telling me, right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm not like surrounding myself with like other supportive people or other people that are trying to elevate their life, I'm just going to stay the same guy that's like getting high in his bedroom by himself, like saying like one day I'm going to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
I would have never done it.
Yeah. So it's true. You know, the people you're around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about, I'm like horrible with names.
Yeah.
Names, business names, like everything. I'm just like, I swear the longer I stay around, I'm getting more and more shot. And I don't know if it's just because it's more and more busy that I'm getting, but so when did your boy come into the mix, right?
Oh, that was locked up with?
Yeah.
Chilo.
Yeah. North Catholic Falcons.
No, he went to Cardinal Doherty, I think.
He went to, see, now I remember this shit. He went to Doherty. They closed Doherty, then he went to North.
Oh.
Yeah. I think.
So he came around in jail.
Okay.
So we crossed paths in CFCF.
Mm-hmm.
We go to Graterford. I have like mutual friends, associates that talk to him, talk to me. So we're around each other, maybe sit at the same table. Then we go to Camp Hill, which is like another process in jail. They like do all your like psych evaluation, stuff like that, see what jail they're going to put you at permanently. And then I think we ended up on the same block there. And then, you know, we just kept seeing each other, talking to each other, small talk. Then we ended up at Forest together. I'm like, dude, I keep seeing you everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and we had, you know, some same group of friends there. And then he ended up going to the honor block before me. So once your custody level gets down, you get to go to an honor block, which is like more privileges, more phone calls, vending machines, stuff like that. So I ended up going there shortly after him, and he was already dug in on the block and knew a bunch of people. And he's like running and facilitating like programs, like positive programs. It was Empowerment 30. So it was just like teaching people about credit, teaching people about stocks, teaching people like conflict resolution, like just trying to help the inmates become better men.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, dude, I want to get in on this. Like, so he got me in. I'm like enrolled in these groups. I start facilitating the groups with him. Now, mind you, we're both coming up on our minimums now. He got out in July. I got out in September. Like, yeah, we're going to stay in touch, you know, when you get out. He comes home. He's like, you know, he's couple different business ventures, get some real estate stuff going, working for a nonprofit now. And last year, I think, no, probably more than a year ago now, we're talking on Instagram all the time, maybe go out to lunch or something here and there. I'm like, dude, we should start a podcast. Like, we're both still on the same path we talked about on there. And we know people that like have inspiring stories. Like, let's put this out there. I mean, you know, we beat around the bush. It was just an idea.
No, yeah. I mean, for all things, for the whole picture, right? Like what you and him are doing, right? Mm-hmm. Forgetting the podcast, like really just staying on like a positive path.
Yeah.
Isn't that more of like the rarity, right? Where it's like, don't most people go back to the life?
Yeah. They said the recidivism rate's like 88%. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, why not highlight it? Why not? Like, there's so much stuff on social media. You scroll through social media, probably 8 out of 10 posts are like negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, that's what catches people's attention. So it's like, you're up against, you know, some competition, throwing that positivity out there. But, you know, the messages I get, the comments that come, it's like, it's worth it.
That's what makes it all worth it.
It's worth it, yeah. And another thing why I do it too is like, you know, we would love to do this full time and, you know, get income off of it. But another good thing is like, I don't, like yourself, drink, party, hang out, gamble. I try to stay away from the vices and negativity. It's something to do positive that I don't mind doing, that I like doing, enjoy doing, that's going to take up my time anyway. So it's like kind of like it goes with my purpose and the way I live right now.
It kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah, especially with the guests that you're bringing on too that are also positive people, right? Yeah. Like you can absolutely kind of relate it to a meeting, right? Where it's like, I've never left like an episode or did a podcast or did an episode on somebody else's where I felt worse than when I walked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's like definitely, call it whatever you want, right? But really just like language of the heart. Like there's something to it.
Yeah.
So then when So talk about like enhanced property and appearance for a second, right? So when you were in there, right, and you wrote it down, you're like, I want to have a business. I want to buy a home, right? Did you always know it was going to be painting, or were you like, you know what, I'm going to sling concrete?
No, so the company was at the time. I have the paper still. In and out wall repair.
Okay.
So it was going to be like because I've done painting and drywall work before, and I've done masonry work like brickwork and stucco before. So I was like, I can do both. Like I didn't expect to hire people and not do the work. I mean, now, I'm fortunate enough to not touch the tools, but at the time I'm like, I could do inside wall repair and outside wall repair. So it was always kind of based around like, fixing walls, but it ended up like right now we're doing full bathrooms, kitchens.
Oh, so you're doing full remodels.
Yeah.
When you do full remodels, you're talking about like more inside stuff, or you're doing outside as well?
More inside stuff. Yeah. Because
my deck's falling apart. But yeah, we'll talk about the discount you're going to give me after the show.
I got you.
But yeah, I guess you couldn't do. I guess you didn't do the masonry stuff, right?
Because no, we still do.
That? What is it? Over the top? They say it's the hardest job ever.
There's no Brian way. Walsh over top. The hardest job on the planet.
I had to take my shot. Bry's the man.
Yeah.
I recommend him on every type of Facebook group because it's just like I know he does great work. But.
Yeah, Brian does good work. So he says basement waterproofing is the hardest job. Yeah. We don't do that, but we'll do like we'll patch some stucco, some basement walls and stuff. Yeah. So it's like the kind of division I had is the same thing that I'm doing now.
So I don't want you to like sell yourself short, right? Yeah. Because I did watch a few of your reels, right? And like, so I know that you got out, you got a job. Right. Yeah. You saved probably every penny that you could.
Yep.
Bought a truck, right? Or something like that. Mm-hmm. Then you started your own LLC.
Yep.
And now you don't just have like one or two vans, right? Like you have a fairly large small business, right? It was probably still falls under a small business.
Yeah, no? It still falls under a small business.
But you're a large painting company at this point.
Yeah.
How many guys you got working for? Like what's that look like?
It's around like in the field, probably like around 20. Then I had some like office administrative help.
I mean, dude. Yeah, I mean, like that's the hope. You know what I mean? Because like if you think about it, if you didn't have some sort of moment of clarity, right, where you're like, I'm going to write down what I think my life can be, and I know that I'm just going to empower myself that I can pull it off, right?
Yeah.
Coming out of like a state institution, right? Like now you're a felon.
Yeah.
How are you going to get a job, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, you just created the opportunity, right? And like now you have a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then so you guys started Streets to Success.
Yeah.
With the thought, what was like the main thought? Because I know what my main thought was, right? And I was like, and I've kind of like veered off of it a little bit, which is cool because I think it's going to continue to transform. But like, what was the thought of like just bring people on that had done bids, or bring people on that like did bids and then, are recreating their lives, or what?
So we picked Streets of Success because it's kind of catchy. We like the logo. We were thinking of a name for a little while, but the Streets of Success is basically about like me and him, right?
Okay.
It's like about us, like went from the Streets of Success. Like people take the road to success, the path to success, whatever you want to say. We took the Streets of Success. It was a hard route, but we ended up overcoming, and it's a fight every day to try to remain positive, remain on the right path. But about getting the guest on, it was like we didn't target particularly like people that were incarcerated or people that were like in the streets with guns and drugs. It was like anyone that has like an inspiring story that can help someone else. So it's like whether you're going through a weight loss journey and depression, drug addiction, abuse, like it's we had a kid on that got locked in his basement at 8 years old and watched his little sister die in his arms.
Jesus.
And he had to press charges. Well, not press charges. He had to testify on his mom at 8 years old on the stand.
Wow.
Because she's the reason that his sister died.
And you can't even fully grasp that situation at that time,
dude. And it's like and he has media in his face. People asking to write books about it. Like, so like, and then his dad wasn't in his life. His mom's locked up. He had to get put up for adoption and foster parents. So it's like, people, you think you have it bad. Or you think your upbringing was bad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's always somebody that had it worse. Mm-hmm. And like before I got sober at 23. So like, leading up to 23, I would have told you that like I had like the worst, like, you know what I mean? It's like, no, my dad wasn't there, like tough shit, you know what I mean? But other than that, like my mom worked multiple jobs, you know what I mean? My grandparents were there. I played sports. I lived in a safe neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like it was just my perception.
Yeah, you know? in our heads as kids, like we think, and I didn't have the best upbringing, but hearing some stories, you're like, all right, I had it fairly good compared to some people.
It could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
So what about like what's the future look like? Right. And you don't have to give like the tidbits of like the whole master plan, but like essentially while answering that question, it's kind of ties into the whole title of the podcast, right? Like how have you turned like your pain into a purpose?
Yeah. So
because whether you know it or not, like you're going to answer it and I'm going to like tell you how I've seen it already.
Yeah.
Which has been pretty cool to see.
For me, like the next steps or whatever, like I want to just continue to, it's like different portions of my life have different things that I expect for it to be, or I hope for it to be, that I'm going to work for it to be. It'll be like, so for the paint and renovation company, it's, we just had a meeting, me and my leadership team, and we want to be the largest home improvement company on the northeast coast of the United States in 10 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work. It's possible. And we're looking at like, a bunch of major cities in this way, but it's about empowering people and bringing people on, and it's going to be a challenge, but getting to where I'm at's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got a great team, so I believe in that. For breaking it down smaller, it's like, one more location, 20 more people, and so on and so forth until you get to that 10-year mark. But just constant growth with that. For the podcast, we want it to be like a top 10 podcast. We want to, have people from all over, like people that have stories that are celebrities that we can get on there, and that didn't think that they were going to be successful. And there's so many people out there that has stories that can inspire other people that you didn't even hear of, and basically get it in front of either people that are in prison or in school or in recovery. So it's like, oh, this is something for me to get inspired by. This is something for me to cling on to for hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'll ask it now, right? But like, I don't think it's like too far fetched to be like, because with the way that the world's going with podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe even like live episodes at CFCF. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like, I mean, I don't know where the whole podcast world's going. I do know that it's definitely not going anywhere.
Projected to be like an $8 billion industry.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, in 2025.
Which is cool, right? I think, I mean, if I'm really being honest, I think I might have got in a little late, but I'm still here, you know? But yeah, I think, like, who's to say that you can't be at CFCF or like SCI Chester, right? Or like whatever the case may be, doing a live show and like, like talk about empowering people, dude. Like that's.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, so the sky's the limit with the podcast. I feel like the internet reaches so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Like we might not even be a hit in Philly, but we can be a hit in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might cling on to it and really like what we're doing. It's just about staying consistent at this point.
Which is just annoying. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it, right? But like, it's so much.
Yeah, because you know what it is, dude? It's like, it's why people do drugs. It's why people drink alcohol. There's no guarantee, if you took that pill or you sipped that drink, that there's an effect after immediately. With this stuff, it's like there's no immediate gratification after it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you just got to keep hitting away at it.
Yeah.
And it's the journey. Like you can't get obsessed with the result. You got to get obsessed with the journey. So,
and I think there's so much more that goes into it that like I don't think many people, unless they have a podcast themselves, really realize, right? It's like not only are we like trying to create like something that's going to be like, catch someone's eye, right? Mm-hmm. But then we also got to come up with like keywords. Then we got to come up with like, what's the caption going to say? Then we got to figure out a way to engage all the people that might or may not give a shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, right?
So much, dude.
So like the passion's there, right? For myself, for you, for your, for all the people that have podcasts that are really trying to do something with it, like show the love. You know what I mean? Because it's not as easy as it looks.
It's crazy because you can't let your passion die down, because then like everything's going to be watered down after that, and you're just going through the motions. And I feel like something like with this, especially like your podcast has a purpose. Like you're really trying to hit, like you're not entertainment, right? You're not here like to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Or like you're here to serve a purpose. And it can get frustrating when, it's not where you want it to be, but yeah, it's 8 billion people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You need 0.001% of them people to feel your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll happen, dude. It's just got to stay consistent. Like I've seen some people with podcasts, like they were 6 years without anything, like 300 viewers for 6 years.
Yep.
So, and then it just
takes off. But I'll tell you what, though, like the comments in between, right? Like that's what keeps me going, right? Even if it's one or two people that are like, hey, and they don't reach out like on a public forum. It's usually in the DM.
Yeah.
Where they're like, yo, dude, not for nothing. Like, I really do appreciate what you're doing. And like, it helps me out a ton. And I haven't been able to hit as many meetings as possible. I listen to yours, frequently. And it's great, dude. Like that's like, if I can reach one person, you know what I mean? Then I've done my job.
Yeah. And I just want to touch on like two things real quick. So I want to finish up on like where I see myself going to. Like I definitely, want to build my personal brand and do motivational speaking and really start traveling. That's like one of my personal goals to do too. So it's build a paying company, let that be self-sufficient, let the people that's there lead the way kinda and hand the business off to them. I collect, a portion, but let them grow the company and make a good living off of it. The podcast, me and Lil, we have a great connection. We got each other's backs. That's going to be a hit. And, personally, I do want to try some motivational speaking gigs and, hopefully be on sellout stages, 20,000 people.
Listen, so, I mean, to segue into that, because when I showed up for yours, for an episode with Streets of Success, Khalil was in the other room, like literally recording himself. And my first thought was like, where are they getting the material, right? Like, where are they tapped into? Is it coming from the head? Or is it like really like a mixture of different things? Or like, walk me through that. What does that look like?
Let me see right now. So I'll go to my notes. I'll have thoughts. Like we're in our heads all day. I try to keep my head with positive stuff. So I'm listening to something and it triggered something in my head. And I'm like, so I got notes right here. Like just notes of things to say, things to talk about, things to record, post stuff to post on Facebook. So I go to, you're scared and you're comfortable. That's why you don't have the things you desire. If you strengthen your desires, let go of the fear, let go of the comfort, then you'll be able to step into these things that you want to receive, but you're not going to if you keep clinging on to the fear and the comfort.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that even popped in my head. I think I might have been listening to something else, but another thing is everybody wants to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you had to do to be able to do what you're doing today. So like, if you see somebody and it's like, I want to do what they're doing, you got to think of everything that they did to get up to that point. And you got to want to do that stuff too.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, the perfect example, right? And another subtle drop for Brian Walsh, right? And I don't know, I don't even talk to Brian Walsh, but I always know that I always give him a shout out on Facebook on the community pages and stuff.
Brian's a good dude.
And he is a great dude. I actually had him look at my basement and I thought he was going to like hit me with like a price, right? And he straight up told me, he was like, you don't have a waterproofing problem. Like I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? Like he could have told me, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And like, he could have hit me over the head and I'd be like, okay. So I do respect that. But, what drives me insane and like, it's his thing, right? So like, it's not going anywhere, but like it's the comment, right? Like, and I think it's his, what is it? A pontoon boat or whatever kind of boat he's got.
Yeah.
Where it's like, must be nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I get it. You know what I mean? But it's like, I mean, how many times have like people been like, yeah, it must be nice, Frank? Like, you don't know like the long nights that I like, planned on building out this company. You don't know about like the times where I probably couldn't pay my guys, you know what I mean? And like, I had to figure something out. Like there's a ton that goes into it.
Yeah. So the must be nice thing, it's like, you get hit with it here and there. It's kind of like a joking thing now. I think like there's some truth behind every joke.
Yeah.
But the Hollywood thing is what gets me.
Yeah.
The Hollywood thing, I'm like, there's no need to say that, dude. Like I am on my path, and you're going to walk beside me, and you're going to be on your journey too. And if we are on the same path, that's great. If not, I don't call you Hollywood for not reaching out to me either. Yeah,
I mean, and that's so. I haven't gotten the Hollywood comments, but I've gotten stuff like that, and it's like, no. The truth of the matter is
now, and
well, the truth of the matter is that like I'm a very selfish person, right? And I'm going to be transparent in every interaction that I have, right? So like I'm very fixated on a few different things in my life right now. And if I haven't reached out, like I'm sorry, right? But like it's not because I'm just like not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm grinding right now. But the Hollywood thing is like, no, like I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. I'm doing something that I know I have a passion in. And it's like, why wouldn't I give it? We have one life, you know?
Yeah.
And at one point you could have done 20 years, right? So like, why wouldn't you give yourself every single shot?
Yeah.
You know?
You weren't calling me Hollywood in there.
Nah, they weren't. They were like inmate, whatever the number was.
ML 6793.
Yeah. Now multiple business owners, right? Multiple properties.
Yeah.
Podcast, a slew of like a community that kind of surrounds you that is positive, that's not calling you Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right? Like what more could we ask for?
Dude, I can't.
I mean, it's okay to want more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like what more could I'm okay right now.
So right now it's for me, I'm like at this space like that I want to try to find peace that's like unattainable. Because like when I was in there, I had peace. I made peace with my situation. Didn't have $20,000 in bills a week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have people relying on me to put food on the table. I didn't have mortgages, 5 different mortgages that are due. I didn't have every, problem in my family coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had peace in there. I was able to sit down and watch a basketball game without a phone, but without my phone going off.
Yeah.
I was able to read a book without like getting disturbed or a thought popping up like, damn, I was supposed to send that invoice out. Are we getting paid this month? So like, I don't think I'll ever get that peace again.
I mean, it brings up a really good point, right? And I think we're going to kind of segue into like what it really looks like, especially from somebody that has a past of maybe dealing with like stress, anxiety, irritability a certain way and how you deal with it now.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you were like, oh, fuck, I forgot to send that invoice, or like, oh, fuck, early on, how am I making payroll this week, right? Like how did you deal with all that, right? And I'm sure you still just have different stressors now, but like, how do you deal with the stressors?
There's always, it's kind of, it comes back to like, I used to play chess in jail. And like, if you take your time and think, there's always another move. I learned that like playing chess, like someone might set you up and you're like, dude, there's no way out of this. And if you really think about it, when you think there's no way out of it, there's no way out of it. But if you think there's got to be another way, there's got to be another way. So if you apply that to like life, like, all right, if you run into an issue, first and foremost, let go of the things that are out of your control. Like if there's no way you can control it, then there's no way you can control it. If like Miss Jane's calling you about her kitchen and she wants like, I'm not paying for this, what are you going to do? Right? Take her to court or whatever. Like, okay, this lady's crazy. I gotta bite it. It's fine. Then you figure out like, what is in my control then? All right, maybe I'll give her a discount still, and then I'll try to get a review out of it. Or I'll try to, have a meeting about it and, get my team more equipped to handle situations like this so it don't happen again. So I feel like when stress comes, it's an obstacle, it's a problem, but it's also like an opportunity to get better. So when you look at it like, all right, you can't make payroll, which knock on wood, I've made every single payroll for the past 4 years. But if that situation did come, it's like, all right, what can I do to make this right? What can I do? Like everything what's in my ability, how do I figure this out and move forward from it? Dude, I had so many different, I can't even think, but at the time it's the biggest situation. Like when it's going on, it's like, dude, how am I going to get over this? How am I going to get past this? Like I had a guy make a hard turn and take a front off a Mercedes Benz.
Oh, Jesus.
Like over the summertime.
Yeah.
What do you think I did?
In an enhanced truck?
In an enhanced truck, yeah. Now, mind you, I don't want
It was probably a good review.
Dude, the lady was cool about it because she was parked on the X.
Oh, wow.
She was parked on the X.
Yeah. So,
technically, she's in the wrong, but if she calls and goes through the insurance, my insurance is going to skyrocket. Got to pay out of pocket to get that Mercedes-Benz fixed.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the time, it's like, dude, I got to pay all this money. I got to put this lady in a rental. I got to hope she don't leave a bad review. But I got pictures that she was on the X, and it's like, you just evaluate everything, and then you're like, it comes back to that chessboard. Like, all right, I'll do this. This should make her happy. If she's not happy with this, okay. Like, we're signing off on an agreement that anything after this, we're not liable. And Yeah, like you're gonna get stuff thrown at you left and right. You got to be a problem solver. You got to be quick on your feet. You got to surround yourself with a support system too that isn't going to like just tell you to say give up or fuck it. You got to be like, you encourage people and people are going to encourage you back, and no problems as long as it's not life threatening. Like no problems that big.
Yeah. I don't even know where I was going with it, but I know that I probably cut you off a number stressors. But yeah, I know I cut you off a number of times. You were talking about the future, right? So I know that you talked about like the big goal, the small goal.
Yeah.
What about like kind of tying it in, right? So like how have you turned like a lot of the pain that you went through, right, into like this purpose, right? I think you kind of touched on it with the motivational stuff, but there's more.
Yeah. So my whole life I wanted to fit in. I feel like I didn't have the nice shoes. I didn't have the things that other kids had growing up. My mom had 8 kids. We lived in Kensington, 3-bedroom house. We moved to Porchman, still in a 3-bedroom house. But, now I got aunts, uncles, nieces, cousins staying with me. And even at home, I really didn't feel like, my mom can't give me her undivided attention. She has a bunch of kids. In school, I wanted to fit in school. Like, be the class clown, get people to laugh. So I feel like, I did things to fit in, and it kind of led me down the path of trying to be cool. And like, I don't want to be cool anymore. I want to be myself. I want to be cool with being myself. So the pain for me was like, do I want to keep living this life for other people, or do I want to live it for myself? Like I did drugs. My sister smoked weed. That's how I started smoking weed. I looked up to my sister. She was smoking weed. I wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And then it's like at that point, you're like, I'm going to say you're addicted to weed, but like you like smoking weed, you're escaping reality, you're laughing, you're not worried about your problems. It's an escape. So you got that mixed in with ego, mixed in with, I wanted to be successful for other people before. I wanted the image of being successful before. I wanted to like show off, and people would look at me like, oh, he got the newest cars, the newest shoes, and he's with the hottest girls. Like I wanted that image before, and I realized I was doing all of that stuff for other people and not for myself. So when I got to sit down and I was like, what do I want to do for me? How do I want my life to look? And look, it's a struggle every day. Trying to overcome things that like pop in your head as far as like thoughts of negativity, or what am I doing this for? Or even with social media and stuff. Cause like you want to put stuff out there to show like, damn, there's possibilities out there. Like, dude, my DMs are like, I got messages I would have never even imagined. As far as like, dude, you're giving me hope. You did all that in a short period of time. Hey, I'm on parole right now. Oh, my son's locked up. Like, I get a lot of DMs right now. And then like sometimes I'm like, am I being braggadocious? Am I, oh, I'm stronger than you? It's tough, dude. It's tough to like, it's like the imposter syndrome. And then, I just got to sit back and think like, all right, what is my intentions here? Like, I'm going to be good regardless. Like I'm going to be, I've developed, some good habits. I got a good support system. I got a good network. I got a lot of knowledge where I can make money, and, I'm at a good area in my life to know I'm going to be straight. But it's like, I was listening to a podcast, Dan Martell, and he was like, it's selfish of you not to share your experience and not share the things you overcame, because there's someone out there right now that's going through that don't think it's possible, but you can show them the way. Like it's kind of greedy for you to hold all that back to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer, right? Like that you didn't go through all the shit that you went through, right? Just to get dropped right here, right? Just to be a successful business owner, and like that's it, right? Yeah. I firmly believe that like you went through all of that, right? So you can help however many that people is, however many people that, reach out or whatever the case may be. So whether it be one person, 5 people, 1,000 people, right? Like it doesn't matter, right? If you help one person, right? Like you're turning that into the purpose.
Yeah.
And more importantly, right? Like kind of like smashing the stigma, right? That like, Frank, he did this, that, and the third, right? He was living this life. It's only a matter of time before he's back in. Like clearly it's not. Right? Yeah. Like people do change. You might wake up and fight those demons every single day, But at the end of the day, you have like these new habits that are able to like kind of reframe your thinking before you kind of like leave the house, and you're like, okay, let's get after it.
Yeah. It's like to touch on what you just said, like when I get like DMs or I'm able to like really help people, like I helped, like I'm not even going to brag about what I help people do, but like I'm talking about whether it was buy a house or rent a house or with their credit or get a car or stay sober, or like when I see the results in other people's lives and I feel like I contributed a little bit, like they put the work in, don't get me wrong, but I have people tell me like, dude, you kind of like helped me stay on a good track. It feels good, dude. It's better than like, selling a $20,000 job. It's better than like, any of my own achievements, knowing that like I said, I know what I'm capable of, but like seeing people believe in themselves and accomplish their goals, dude, I love it. Like I'm like, dude, like we're all in this together. Like let's all win.
Yeah. I mean, literally it's not the same, right? But like essentially people can relate that to like, and at least the way that I do is like the whole sponsorship thing, right? Where it's like, when you see when you see somebody and the light comes on back in their eyes, right? It makes it all worth it. There's been times where like, I was doing stuff like that and like people were getting better and people were like rebuilding their life and like having conversations with their family. And like, I was dead broke, but like I was okay. You know what I mean? There's been times where I wasn't doing any of that. Right. And I had never had like more money in my bank account than I had in a long time. Right. And like, I'm fucking miserable. Right.
The purpose wasn't there.
Yeah. That's the problem. Right. Like I wake up the same as you. Right. Where it's like, I wake up, my baseline is like what I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It has to be a constant, kind of like a constant reset button where it's like, I'm going to do this again today. Yep. Right. But I firmly believe, not to sound like I can, like said, firmly believe like 3 different times, the support network, the people around me, like they play a huge part in that, that saying that you probably either read somewhere or somebody told you, right? It was like, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. Not that like we're out here doing dirt or anything like that, but it's like, show me what your friends are doing to try to elevate themselves and I'll tell you what you're about.
Yeah. If you hang
sucks
around,
that I had to wait as long as I did, even in sobriety, to like figure that out. But like, I'm here for it.
That was your journey though.
Yeah.
Like it sucks, but you needed to go through that to get to where you are. Like my biggest thing, like, and I get selfish at times and I get self-centered at times. I was just talking to one of my best friends about it. But like, if I'm in your life, I want you to like, say if I died today, and I just want people to be like, hey, my life was a little bit better with Frank in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I want people to remember me. Like, I don't want to be known for like business owner. No, I just want people to like, damn, it was a little bit better when Frank was around. Like he added value. He added, a lot to my life, positivity and perspective and help. And, it's cheesy. It sounds cheesy, right? Because like I was never that type of dude that like think about a purpose or, real deep into like stuff. But, that's just who I am now. Like, I'm just going to keep continuing to be myself. Like I wouldn't even get on, like before, I wouldn't get on camera with a microphone and say this stuff.
No,
I would think
absolutely
it,
not.
and I'm like,
no,
that's corny. I'm too cool for that.
Well, one, I wouldn't even get to that point because I'd be like, well, what are my boys going to think? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the time, like my boys, like they were my boys for a reason. Like we were, like we all were like-minded, but like we weren't really about much. You know what I mean? And if we were about stuff that really didn't matter. Like I don't care about like being like super flashy or any of that stuff. Like, do I have it? Yeah, I do. I go out a couple times a year, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't, you know what I mean? Like we weren't about much. You know what I mean? And like my thought or like what I thought people thought of me held me back for so long, When nobody ever told me that that's the way that I should think. It was just like self-taught, or wrongly perceived, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how many people will never start because of the fear of what other people think. And they don't even think about that though. It's just they're not starting because subconsciously they know that they're going to look like an outsider now, or they're going to look like a weirdo, or dude, that ain't you. What do you mean you're going to start a podcast? Like, that ain't you.
Yep.
Like, all right, well, it's about to be me.
Yeah. Why not me? You know? Like,
yeah.
Why not me? You know, it doesn't have to be. And I've said it a few times, like early on in like season 1, it's like, I'm going to continue to do it, whether it's one person watching or 5,000.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, there's like short and few and far between comments of like, you know, like people reaching out. It keeps it going, you know?
Yeah. But like, why not do it? That's the question. Like, what? Like, it's something positive, right? So how can anyone talk shit on, like, the name alone, you know, Pain with Purpose, the reason you're doing it, conversations you're having, the people you're interviewing, like, it's your time you're taking up anyway, right? So, like, even if you do it for 5 years and, you know, you're at the same spot you are right now, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Time. But, like, how much time have you wasted on
dumb shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's really no downside to it.
Exactly.
All right, so to kind of like bring it home, I'm the worst fucking. When do you do your plugins? You do it at the end, like you do, like you know, file. Yeah, so yeah, I feel like I got to switch it up. I feel like I got to start doing it in the beginning.
Yeah, but I want to touch on too real quick, just your podcast, like particularly being aimed towards like addicts or recovery or addiction. I want to be where I'm at today if I continue to drink or use drugs.
Yeah,
like I know. Like, you can only carry so much. So I want to be able to carry everything I carry now with, like, even if I occasionally drunk. Like, I might say I can, but I know right now how my life looks without it. Why would I go back to indulging into something that's not going to essentially add any value to me? So, like, for, like, your listeners that are hearing it, like, I want to be where I'm at, able to do all this stuff. I know for a fact if I was using drugs or alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, imagine how much busy work you do. Like, once like we go our separate ways tonight, right? Like you're not shutting it down right away.
Dude, I gotta edit a podcast. I gotta go over emails. I gotta make sure all this paperwork sent out for this house that I got under contract. Like, I got a lot of stuff to do. And tomorrow, it's the same thing. It'll be like just a new to-do list tomorrow.
But imagine if you were going home and having like a 6-pack. You know what I mean?
No.
Next thing you know, invoices are getting sent out way different.
Yeah.
You know, like then you're like reaching out, not being the man that you are today, right?
Dude, not only that, waking up the next day.
Yeah. Like, no, none of it's possible. And then you hear the people, and this is not a shot at anybody, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, you hear the people that are like, well, you know, it's just drinking. And it's like, if it's just drinking, then just don't. You know what I mean?
I know people that smoke weed. It's just, dude, you act like I'm snorting fucking coke. It's just weed. Or you act like I'm doing fentanyl or whatever. It's just weed. Yeah, I know how I used to be with weed. I used to smoke weed every day for like 10 years straight.
Well, I turned that into a full-time job.
About smoking weed?
Oh.
Dude, I had a pile of leaves tattooed on me. I got to cover it up now.
You did?
But yeah, I mean, you get comfortable, you get lazy, you get distracted. It's not like, I can, function with it. All right. I mean, unless you're fucking Snoop Dogg or like Wiz Khalifa, I want to see like a really, really successful person that's not in the entertainment world. That's
Well, I was a trash man. You know what I mean? But also, like, regardless, like, you know what I mean? I still held myself to being like, I'm a city employee. But like, you know, at the end of the day, like, I was smoking bowl packs just to go to work.
Yeah.
Again, that's not normal. It could be just weed, but that's not normal. I shouldn't have to smoke a bowl pack to go to work.
Yeah. I mean, I used to smoke all day, every day, like literally like cigarettes. But it's like clouding your judgment. It's not, you're not your true self. I'm not knocking anyone that does it, but like, I'll have the upper hand. Like, I don't have to take time to roll up or pack a bowl. Like, I'm doing what I got to do. So like, even if you take a tablet, like it's distorting you a little bit. I want to be 100% myself at all times.
Yeah.
Like, but to each his own.
I mean, in the grand scheme too, especially with your story, right? How long you been out now?
5 years.
So like, you just like, you're only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think for all things considered, like, you're still in the infancy stages of enhanced property appearance, right? Streets of success.
Yep.
Everything else that you got going on. The motivational speaking, right? Because you've already started to dip your toes into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, at some point I'll pick your brain about all that stuff too. Because like, I know that I've had people on there like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, why? We're just having a conversation. This shit ain't live. Nobody knows what's going on right now. But there it's like, you know, front and center. But I mean, you've really just started doing all this. So how long has the podcast been going on?
8 months.
Yeah. So right around the same time as me.
Yeah. Like March.
Did you guys have any clue what you were doing?
No. My buddy, shout out to Sludge. He came and helped me with like, you need this software, you need this camera, you need this mixer. And I keep edit videos on my phone and all, but like I had to like really learn how to work this software and set the cameras up and angles and lighting. And dude, I'm like, I just learned how to freaking put a house under contract and, you know, go through inspections and zoning and this and that. Like now I got to learn this stuff. Now I got to learn this stuff too.
Which for a lot of things like is much harder, right? Because like paperwork, like I just hate it. I just don't want to look at it and actually take the time to read through it.
Yeah.
The editing stuff is like, I might as well be like reading a different language.
Especially if you're like picky too and you want it to be a certain, like you're not just throwing anything out there. You got good content, you got good edits. Especially like if you care how your product looks, the quality of it. It's a lot of work. And there's no like real quick way to do it.
No, that's the
like
worst
you get
part.
better at it, but there's no quick way to do it.
No, and that's what I don't think a lot of people understand. It's like, no, I got to match this to that, then I got to upload this, which don't take a second either. But we could go on forever about that. Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else that I want to talk about? No, man. Not that I can think of. I really like seeing someone else do what I do as far as like this. It's like a different level of appreciation. So like, I appreciate you taking the time for me to come out here, sitting the time aside. Like I know, like, you know, we're not making big bucks. We're not making anything really. If anything at all, I have some merchandise dropping soon for Streets of Success. So you can always support and buy that. Some cool graphics. We'll have that up on our page. But what
are we doing? We doing the poo shiesties?
No shiesties.
You gotta have the shiesties, dude. No. Streets of Success. I mean,
we don't want kids wearing.
I'll come on as a consultant. That'll fly off the shelves.
We got like varsity jackets. We do got Scullies. We have hats, trucker hats, t-shirts, screen printed t-shirts with like some cool graphics. Yeah. You know, that's it for right now.
What's his name gonna do?
Jalo. Wait,
no. What's the guy that like is huge in Philly? What, Art History?
No. Art History, nah. I actually got this guy from Jersey. He's a embroidery. He's a young kid hustler. I like seeing people like-minded people like you with the podcast. Like I don't know you, but I feel connected to you because we do similar stuff. And like this guy, he's just doing the screen print and stuff and all, and the embroidery. He's a young entrepreneur, about to crack $1 million this year, I think.
No shit. How young is he?
By my age, a little bit younger.
Okay.
But like he's in like a whole nother world of like branding and screen printing and business cards and lawn signs. John, I met him at a meeting, like entrepreneur meeting, but kid's a hustler, man. He's like, I'm saying kid, he's probably a little bit younger than me, but he's just like going to his office. He got everything planned out. He's like, all right, it's like kind of like what I do with my company, but it's what you do for your people. Like you know, I just love seeing it, dude. And I feel like I'm connected to that dude because like, I get it. Like I manage, 20 people too. I think you got like 10 employees, but like I'm overseeing a lot of people too. I'm, trying to make a splash in this world too. So it's cool to be connected to people like that.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, again, it ties back to like what you were talking about with like, you were like, oh, I'm not going to brag, right? But I've helped people in the past, right? Like, and they're not saying that you're quote unquote helping this guy, right? Because he seems like he's already killing it, but it's like there's something to like I want to pour my work into somebody else that I know is like fired up and passionate about like creating their own thing. Not to say that there hasn't been people that came before us, right? And I'm sure that there's going to be people that come years after us. But if you have the opportunity, right, like help somebody out.
Yeah. Well, what I noticed about this kid, and I see people get into business. Like he gets systems, he gets people in the right places. He gets like, and it like this early in entrepreneurship, and mind you, like he don't have like a partner, and he don't have like someone older than him that he might have mentors and stuff, but like that works side by side with him. So seeing someone that has someone at the desk in the office, seeing like there's a process for this, seeing like, oh, we have a department for this. It's like I had to do that and learn on my own. Like I had to put someone. I used to answer the phone. I used to do everything, but like once you start become more of a leader and more of a delegator and more of like putting the right people in the right places, it's like, dude, I understand like his struggles and the way he had to make this so everything functions smoothly. Like because I deal with people and it's like, I'm calling, I'm not getting answers, or my order's like 2 weeks delayed. Like when it comes to like stuff like merch and stuff, and I'm like, or the stuff's messed up on it, and I'm like, not that they're bad people, they just don't understand that business is an operation, and there has to be different departments and different people in different seats for this thing to run smoothly and to give a customer a good experience.
Yeah.
And this dude gets it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's half the battle, right? And he's got quality stuff.
Yeah,
it's a shoo-in.
Mm-hmm.
So if people wanted to find you, how would they find you? Because it's not quiet, frankly.
Yeah, it's quite frankly, that's my Instagram. So it's _Frank_Lee. That's on Instagram. That's on TikTok, Facebook, Frank Lee. Podcast Streets of Success. That's on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. And if you need your house renovated, painted, home improvement stuff, enhanced property appearance, that's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as well.
Yeah, just let them know Pain with a Purpose sent you 10% off, no big deal.
10% off.
Yeah, so I might as well do my whole thing too, right? So yeah, if you've listened this far, right, and you like what we're saying, drop us a like, comment, share, subscribe. Yeah, at Pain W Purpose on Instagram, Pain with a Purpose podcast on YouTube and Apple and Spotify as well. So
where's the TikTok at? Not yet.
Dude, I did it for like the first week. I know, but it was
too
like
many though, dude. It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a whole lot.
I'll notice like, and I don't want to. If I'm,
no, you're good.
I'll go back to TikTok like a couple days later. I'm like, dude, I didn't upload nothing on here. I got to catch up now. I got to start posting them back on TikTok. It's a lot to keep up with.
So do you do it all by hand, or are you using like a software for that?
No,
too?
I'm doing it because I'm like picky with like.
Yeah, because like I know that there's a few out there, and I've tried them, and I'm like.
Dude, and
it was posting one thing every single day, the same thing on YouTube. I was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Like, how dumb do I look? It was like a short, like a YouTube short. I was like, I'm done with this.
It's crazy because I'm just talking about like systemizing and this and that, but like this podcast stuff, like I need to learn it. Like I need to learn the content game. I got to learn the reels. I got to learn the algorithm. It's just like, it's an experience. It's a journey. And luckily, like, I don't owe anybody nothing. It's not like an exchange. Right. So I don't really, this is all free. This is all for you guys to experience for free. So
yeah. It's a pretty cool time, because like you said, like I never thought I'd be sitting where I'm sitting right here, right now with 2 lights on me, a camera, 2 microphones talking about
a convicted felon,
right? Not only talking about like the pain that we've been through, but like trying to put out like good in the world. Like I just wanted to stop hurting. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the more that I continue to like, I don't know, peel back the onion or scratch the surface, right? Like it's kind of, who knows what this is going to look like in 5 to 10 years,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have a vision.
We could have a fucking channel, you know what I mean? Like not a YouTube channel, but like if cable's still around, you never know.
Yeah. You got to kind of know what you want it to look like though, right? Like,
well, don't get me wrong. I do.
And you can't even say exactly, but like there's steps in. I was just watching something the other day, like Samsung was like Samsung TV.
Mm-hmm.
They were like a car company or something. Like they were like something like a sneaker, like something totally different. Like a lot of these, a lot of these brands. I don't know exactly what it was, but like a lot of these brands start off as something, and then like you never know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Like Pain with a Purpose, like that might be like a motivational speaking tour.
Yeah, never know.
You're gathering like a bunch of people, and you're just going on tours now.
If I can get over the imposter syndrome, maybe, because like I have it all the time. Like, and I don't know, you ever have that thought? And like, we could literally talk for hours, right? We'll just continue to go on the next fucking subject. Yeah. But like, do you ever have that thought where it's like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Right? Like, it's almost too good. You know what I mean? Just like life in general, right? You're like, like coming from where you were, right? Being locked up for a number of years, living a pretty cool life today, right? Still having goals and aspirations, and then being like, at what point is this going to like, am I going to get found out?
I feel like
there's nothing to find. And that's the crazy thing is like there's nothing to find out.
Yeah. I feel like I overcame that.
Okay.
I feel like that's what got me back into the same position a lot of times in life. Was like thinking like it's too good to be true, or thinking like I'm not like this entrepreneur, I'm not this leader, I'm not this like person that's, in charge or that got control of his life. But then like you just like look at reality, like, the proof's in the progress. The proof's in like, the past 5-10 years, however long you've been sober, like the proof's there. Year after year, day after day, like you're just getting better. So if imposter syndrome, like it's just I'm in my own head with it, but like I'm pretty confident in who I am and where I'm going. That look, anything can happen, right? Like, I could get in a car accident when I leave here and then down back on toes again. Like, who knows? But I don't try to entertain the negative thoughts. So
yeah, easier said than done. You know what I mean? Not that like it's crippling, right? But like, there's always that subconscious where it's like, don't put out that reel. That one's a little too deep. God forbid someone's like, all right, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's still there,
Dude, it's my thing. I bring it back to, am I genuine about this? And what are my intentions with this? If like, I'm being genuine, and if my intentions are pure, then I'm putting it out there.
I love that.
And like, talk your shit. It's cool to talk your shit sometimes. Like, you, me, whoever. Like, if you came a long way, whoever's listening to this, like, if you got a year, post your year. You know what I mean? Even if you bought a used car, post your used car.
Right.
Who cares?
I had a used car. It was my whole world. It was the best thing ever.
Yeah, like post it. Who cares? Like at the end of the day, like be proud of yourself, man. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And it's not guaranteed that like you were going to overcome the things you overcame. So if you have an accomplishment, post it. The only one that's going to not like it is somebody that's like not accomplishing their goals. It's going to be people that are stagnant or people that are closed-minded. Someone should be proud of you, dude. You don't need to care what everyone thinks.
I love that. Before we go on the next tangent, we're just going to shut it down because I feel like we could literally go forever.
Yeah, no.
So with that, appreciate you guys all tuning in. Again, frankly, from multiple different aspects, but enhanced property appearance. At some point, I'll be able to let that flow.
Yeah.
Streets of Success podcast.
Yeah.
No longer what you used to be. An entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So, with that, appreciate you guys listening.
Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you.
Absolutely.